Hi and welcome to this 60 minutes. My name is Luis Engel. I'm a chess grandmaster from Germany. And yeah, in the following videos, we're going to look at a couple of sidelines against first e4, namely the modern defense and the Pirc defense, and also some other minor lines Black has tried after moves like g6 or d6 in first move. So yeah, to just give you a quick overview over the lines we're going to cover. So the Pirc defense, of course, the most important sideline from this whole 60 minutes, rises after the moves here, knight f6, knight c3, and now g6. So this is kind of the starting position, which can also be reached if Black starts with g6, bishop g7, because my suggestion will be playing with f4, bishop g7. So this will be part of the last two videos of this video series. Yeah, despite that, there's also the modern defense after g6. So Black is not playing with an early knight f6, but yeah, it gives us the center here. We play knight c3. Again, we play f4. So this will always be our setup with his pawns on d4, e4, and f4 as well. And now Black plays a6. This is the so-called modern defense. And this will be discussed in the next video. However, in this video, we will first look at a couple of other sidelines Black has tried, including moves like g6 or maybe d6. So we will look at them one by one. They are all not very critical, but still I think it's good to have an overview because a lot of them are used in blitz games, also in classical games, sometimes as a surprise weapon. So yeah, definitely useful to know what we're doing here. So here after e4, g6, d4. Of course, if Black doesn't occupy the center, we will do that, just grabbing the center immediately. And yeah, bishop g7 is of course the main move here. There are also some other moves, one of them being knight to f6. This move is not very good for Black. I've only decided to include this move into the series because Magnus Carlsen plays like this sometimes in blitz games. But after knight f6, there's more than one way to get a clear advantage here for white. I think probably the best and most aggressive setup is was shown by Dimitri Kollas in the game from the title Tuesday. He played e5, knight h5, and now I don't want to go for this pawn here on h5. So bishop e2, bishop takes h5 is not the way I want to play, but I think f4 is the strongest here. Still following the game, d6, knight to c3, bishop h6. Attacking this pawn, but of course this looks very odd, these pieces here, queen f3. So this was the game, and yeah, here white managed to win very convincingly, and also this position is already clearly better for white. So not recommendable for Black, and nothing to be afraid of with white. Yeah, another move here instead of bishop g7 is the move c6, which is definitely more relevant, and also a move I actually used myself a couple of times in blitz games. And yeah, the idea is to strike back in the center with d5, but not yet committing to the move bishop to g7. So maybe the bishop is better placed on f8 actually. And yeah, that's Black's idea. But against all these lines, I usually want to play with e5, grab as much space as we can. Just to show you an alternative, also the move c4 is very interesting here, leading also to an advantage for white. But my suggestion will be knight to c3. And after d5, I play e5. That's the move I want to go for. Just taking the space in the center. And yeah, usually Black's idea is to play with h5 and also knight to h6. If Black plays bishop to g7, we will transpose to a line we will see later in this video. But after h5, Black's idea is knight h6, maybe putting the bishop to g4 or f5. And yeah, somehow getting his pieces out. Maybe playing e6 later on, and at some point maybe start to attack our center with c5. But Black, yeah, has not so much space, and actually there's a little idea I found here, which I'm pretty proud of, and I think it's a very unpleasant move to meet for Black, which is the move h3 here. I think, yeah, very, very strong move. On first view, not so clear why this move is actually so strong, but the idea is pretty simple. Black wants to play knight to h6 and will play knight to h6. It's the only square that makes sense for his knight. But now, because we played h3, the square on g4 is protected, so Black won't be able to exchange his bishop. For example, if we start with knight f3, Black could play bishop g4, exchange this bishop here, play knight h6, knight f5, and yeah, all his pieces are on on squares where they belong. However, if we start with h3, then there's only one good square left, which is the square on f5. But unfortunately, black has two pieces that both want to go to the square, so either knight or bishop. And yeah, after knight h6, knight f3, now black has to decide, but whatever he does, there will be one piece that will be on a bad square. So yeah, either bishop f5 or knight f5 after both moves, I think white is already clearly better. For example, knight f5. Now the knight is placed well here, but now the bishop on c8 is badly placed and can't get out, can't exchange himself against the knight, for example. So that's all because we made this little pawn move here, which, yeah, I think it's a move which is definitely worth remembering because it poses a lot of problems for black. Yeah, so after knight f5, bishop d3 can be played now. And yeah, what should black do? If he plays e6, we could play on the dark squares, bishop g5, bishop e7, and now h4, for example. And black has this terrible bishop on c8. Yeah, not a good position for black. And if black plays queen to b6, aiming for this d4 pawn, then we have a very nice way to defend our center by playing the move knight to e2. Yeah, very strong maneuver. We can defend our center with c3 later on. And also, again, we see, yeah, black's knight on f5 is pretty well, but it's also blocking this bishop. Black would love to play bishop f5, but it's not possible anymore. So here white is already clearly better as well. Yeah, so what about black moving his bishop to f5? Well, it doesn't really change anything about the fact that there's still one bad piece left over. This time it's the knight on h6. And of course, we will not play bishop d3 now because we don't want to exchange pieces. As we will decide who has more space, so it's good for us to keep more pieces on the board. And therefore we play simple chess, bishop f4, queen to d2. And now this knight on h6 is the problem for black, and also black will never be able to move these pieces away because he has to protect this knight. And the knight itself can't go to f5 because this square is blocked by the bishop. So yeah, black's position is completely cramped here. He has just not enough space for all his army. And yeah, I think this is very good for white here. So yeah, please remember this idea. I think it's a very important idea, posing a lot of difficult problems for black. And yeah, that's my suggestion against the move c6 here.